614 Startups Nation, welcome back to another episode of the 614 Startups Podcast. My name is Elio Harmon, your host, and I'm here with a very special guest. I mean, he must have the most persistent executive assistant in the world. Emily has been hounding me like, yo, you got to talk to this guy. We're building something revolutionary over here. We finally got Mike Popadak of iVueit on the show. Mike, welcome.
Thanks, Elio, man. Thanks for, really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, big
and
shout
Emily's
out to
great,
Emily.
by the way.
Yeah,
What's
big
that?
shout out to Emily. She got it done. So we appreciate you, Emily, and thank you for all your patience with getting this scheduled. All right, Mike, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we like to get started with a bit of the personal and professional. So shoot.
Yeah. So Ohio native, really from Northeast Ohio, kind of a small farm town outside of Youngstown is where I grew up. Kind of went to school up there at a small school called Hiram. Thought I'd play baseball, and then I realized that was, wasn't going to play center field for the Yankees, and started to think about, what was next. Spent a little time at Kent State, and then ended up at Miami of Ohio with business and marketing degree, and in 4 years. So bounced around to 3 schools, couldn't afford to stay any longer, got out of there, and got right to work with really a great company that set me up for success with inside of PepsiCo and Frito-Lay. For about 10 and a half years, I did all kinds of stuff with them, from a district manager to logistics and out of Plano, Texas, to then getting on the account side, calling on large brands like Kroger, Walmart, Giant Eagle, et cetera. And then, and then from there, really took a leap of faith with a friend of mine and a co-founder who was also working at PepsiCo with us, to a company in the facilities management space, which I knew nothing about. So kind of got into that, and they were trying to do something a little bit different, and it kind of helped spur where we're at today. But working at Brightview and at the time was a company called Brickman, family owned, became much larger, bought their competitor, publicly traded, but went from a really large corporation to a smaller corporation, and then really jumped into building iVueit from a problem we saw there. So
Center field for the Yankees. Do you have an arm? Can you throw it from all the way center field to home plate?
Not anymore, man. And I've got a high schooler, and I talk to him about this all the time. And it was the same with my brother who played at Ohio State. Your arm is your lifeline to the game. I mean, you got to take care of it. So these young guys out there, but no, not anymore. But we watch, we're a baseball family, spent a lot of time there, obviously. What's going on with Major League Baseball right now, it's a little disappointing, but hopefully they figure it out.
Okay. And the other thing you mentioned, you said, usually when people go away to school and they come back and they say, I didn't finish because I couldn't afford it, it means I partied way too much. I don't know what I want to do. And you know what? Instead of getting into more student loans, I'm going to go ahead and call it quits right here. Am I right?
There's a little bit of both of that. I mean, I pride myself on, hard work, and that's the Jeter quote behind me. And I was paying for it myself. And yeah, I partied as well, but I also worked 2 jobs. One of them, I'd drive into Cincinnati and help cater weddings. But by the time I got back, the bar scene was going still. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, but taught me a lot about hard work, a lot about just how to take care of the things that you need to. And I knew I needed a good education. I learned a lot there, met a lot of great people. It helped, like I said, get me my first job at PepsiCo. And really that was a foundation for me as in my career, is that organization puts so much on you early, surrounds you with leaders, focuses on training. And I think that's key. I mean, even, as you're building a startup and building a company, you got to train your people. You got to train them well. PepsiCo did that for me. I was able to carry that. And I was always surrounded by great mentors. I talked to one of my best mentors just yesterday. He's long time retired, but it was one of the learnings as I got into, my own business, is you still got to surround yourself with people. If you're the guy, that's great. And then, my co-founder is great, but you got to still stay connected and keep learning. But everybody's also looking to you for all the answers. So, it's something that, building that network, I think for entrepreneurs, business owners, is critical.
That's great, man. And that's my story. So I usually project. I try to make it everybody else's story because that's my story. So hey,
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing a bit about your background. Now, why did you want to start a business in an area you had no experience in? And it's not like it's sexy, right? It's not like robotics or something awesome, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, why facilities management? Because I know facilities management matters, but it's
Yep.
one of those things that's out of sight, out of mind. We just know when a facility is well taken care of, but we don't realize what goes into it. So why facilities management?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great opportunity when I got into, with Brightview and working there, and they mostly focus on exteriors pieces of the facility, right? Landscape, snow removal, that was the kind of their niche. But they're working with these large customers, and again, to your point, I was in these stores or banks all the time, but you don't think about the literally the superheroes that are trying to keep it running, going through disasters, all the spend that's going into it, and just really it wasn't sexy. And I was telling people I was going into facilities management, and previously, I sold the world's biggest brands, Lay's, Doritos, etc. But what was so interesting at the time was they were kind of going through a bit of a transformation on some of this, right? So I'll use the Chase Bank example. So Chase Bank, here at Polaris, right? Giant footprint. Brightview could manage that with their 8-man crews. It's a huge job for them. But Chase Bank then says, hey, what about my 5,500 branches? I got 800 landscapers who I'm paying and managing. And the industry was going through this transformation. And, it was something that Brightview was kind of getting ahead of. Is like, well, what if we could do this, but we could manage our subcontractors to handle this through technology, through boots on the ground, and we can fulfill and basically listening to the customer. We can manage this. We'll manage the subcontractors. We'll have one landscaper that you're going to work with. But then what started to happen as this aggregator model started to continue, it was great, but you lose visibility, right? There was this giant blind spot that, as I'm working, with these large national accounts, they're unhappy because we're being told something was done, but it really wasn't done. And that's where the kind of the light bulb for us went off is how do we solve this what we call a blind spot, right? It's lack of information. At PepsiCo, I knew how many pounds of chips I had on the floor in every store. There was so much information. But customers who come to us now come to us because they manage these large dispersed facilities, and gathering information quickly and accurately was hard. It was expensive. And really that's what iVueit is we build a platform for those who manage facilities to our nationwide 200,000 plus viewer network who on demand, I can go to $19,000 generals, gather information, photos, survey, asset management, all kinds of in 2 days, right? And I can do it quick. I can do it affordably. I can do it in a platform that organizes it for them. And those auditing softwares and things we saw were out there, but the missing piece was the arms and the legs, right? So we say we're a tech company, but we're still a people company. We're empowering all these people, who get an alert on their phone and go right out to these locations, be it a bank, be it a dollar chain, whatever that is. But yeah, facilities management, very interesting, very complex. And we're just helping, kind of a pain point. And I've always been big, and it may be from my time at Frito-Lay, it's always running downhill and always hits the people, on the street, right? The boots on the ground. They get asked to do so much and get taken away from so much of what they're doing. And that's what we had. We had quality control guys, trained landscape architects and F-250s driving around doing quality control. And we just knew there was a better way to do it. So
yeah. Okay. So I said facilities management was not sexy until you started explaining the problem to me, and you started talking about your customers and how much real estate they're managing. So, I mean, the assumption would be, hey, if there's a crew out there in Des Moines, Iowa, mowing a Chase lot, and the Chase branch manager is not happy, what you're saying is that before this innovation, unless Chase had somebody on a facilities management team in Des Moines that can go out and have a conversation with them, they are managing that conversation remotely. So it's basically the branch manager's word against the contracted lawnscaping company. Is that right?
Right. And there's so you have the branch manager, the company that's managing it, potentially from afar. And then there's a facility management team who's probably back in headquarters trying to make heads and tails of this. Right. And someone at Bank of America, she told me this all the time, is like, if you don't show me what you did, I'll tell you what you didn't do. So she would come, imagine that scenario. Someone comes to us and say, hey, this this branch is a mess. Well, I don't have a photo of it. I don't know what's going on. I'm just being told, so I have to react because that's my contract. And that would happen with large, retailers. They say the whole state of Texas is a disaster. Well, we would stop, we would mobilize our market managers, send them in, take them away from doing more productive tasks of walking sites, proposals, working with the subcontractors who are supposed to be, taking care of it, training them, et cetera. And then in a day now, I can see all of those properties in Texas, tell them exactly, hey, here's where the things are escalated. It's not 200 locations, it's 25. Now we have an action plan. And it started in land and snow. And snow was probably the worst because they're trying to send people out and they're contracted to have it done. But during a snowstorm, after a tornado, what do the sites actually look like? And again, when you have 200,000 people that you can deploy, we're not first responders, our viewers aren't, but they live next to that bank. They drive by that Home Depot. They shop at that grocery store. So they're there. We pay them to take the photos, get that information back. So it really turns out to be a win-win-win. And it's not just land and snow. It turned into lighting and signage, paving, janitorial, painting. There's so many things that are going on. And there's this huge system of contractors who are servicing all of these different categories on all these retailers and all this commercial real estate that's out there.
Yeah. Listen, Mike, I want you to hold this thought. We're going to take a break, but we'll be right back. How much money is exchanging hands out there, right? When you talk about combining snow removal with lawn care, getting an air conditioner person out there, getting the heating and cooling, the duct cleaning, the replacing the roof after a storm. How much money are we talking in this total market? Hold that thought, folks. You're now listening to my conversation with Mike Popadak of iVueit. We'll be right back after these messages. This episode is brought to you by Rev1. Rev1's mission is to help entrepreneurs build great companies. As you navigate the waters of business entrepreneurship, you don't have to go it alone. A strategic partnership with Rev1 connects innovators to the talent, customers, space, and funding you need when you need it. Get started with Rev1 Startup Studio by visiting rev1ventures.com to learn more. Again, the website is rev1ventures.com. All right, we're back, folks, with my conversation with Mike Popadak of iVueit. All right, Mike, I know you're talking big money now. You got me excited. Let's go into the market size and the money that's exchanging hands to make sure that all of the buildings that we visit, that we go to, that we expect to be clean, are operating and running.
Yeah, I mean, the FM world, it's $1 trillion market, right? When you stop to think about, even just the landscape contracts that we used to deal with, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars per retailer, per commercial. But then, like you said, you start adding in HVAC and what's happening into heat and cool and maintain these spaces. It's a tremendous market, and one that's full of, again, great individuals, great folks. I call them superheroes, tradesmen, and really, again, going through kind of an interesting time with the pandemic of, leaving the workplace, coming back to the workplace, what's going on with, in-store. So many changes are happening with it and how they better service, whether it's a retail location, a commercial location. So huge contracts, huge brands, huge industry in general, and one that's going to continue to grow. And one that, candidly, when I got into it, was a little bit behind on technology, coming from CPG, consumer packaged goods, right? They're the whiz bang of everything, right? They're on the forefront. We got over here and we're like, wow, they're really behind in FM. And a solution, our solution was one that was, at first not widely adopted because it was so different and so unique and so new, but huge market, great place to be. And again, we are, when you think about what we do and, on-demand site audits and visual inspections and things of that nature, it's fast nickels, not slow dimes, right? The big contracts, those HVAC, building retaining walls, construction, all the things, that's huge money. But if I could just get a photo of something so I can get a price to somebody, or I can check if a work order was completed, the pain points that these FMs and property owners have by not having it, it's to spend $25 to go check lighting to make sure that got done so I can get my bill paid, so I can submit it. We're trying to increase the speed at which this industry is operating because it's big, it's vast, and is not slowing down.
Yeah, and it needs to be fast, right? And
Yes.
in speeding up these transactions is like everything else. Yeah, I get my Cash App. We can exchange cash in a flash, right? Why not verifying that work is done and doing it at that speed as well, so we could grease the gears of commerce. Okay, so you mentioned something about being behind on technology and adoption. I always like to hear stories of version one. So you recognize that this is an issue. What did version one look like, and how did you get it out into the market for people to start using it?
Yeah. Version one was, obviously an MVP, right? We were just trying to get it built. We contracted locally. We had some folks helping us overseas just to build that viable product, right? We thought there was something there, and we took it. Honestly, our first step was to our current employer. We knew there was a problem. I fully thought I was gonna be walking in and getting let go that day. But they recognized and said, look, here's what we have. Here's what we've been working on. We know there's a need here. It's not exactly what you do, but it's a complement to what's being done. And, so we built it, we exchanged what we call Vues. It was one of those processes that took a long time, right? It's the, dots, on the map or the people, right? So we couldn't throw a bunch of dots out there as we tried to build this viewer network, and we couldn't have all these viewers waiting for dots on the map. So it took a lot of strategy as we built it, testing in certain markets. And unlike an Uber, we couldn't say, hey, we're only in New York City and we're only in Miami, because our customers are saying, you know what, this technology is new. I got people in Columbus, I got people in New York, but Bemidji, Minnesota, I don't have anybody there and I can't get answers on something. But what we found was, if there was a bank there, there was a dollar store there was multiple auto parts stores there. So we started kind of almost from the outside in, building this network, talking to customers, choosing wisely, and turning down some things originally. But we had a good plan of what we thought we needed it to be. And then it has evolved so much. Then I think we're probably on version 4 by now. We're all in-house. We do contract some work, but we've got our own development team. And again, we're continuing now to build solutions faster and faster. And it does so much more than it did when we first started.
Yeah. So how many? Okay. So you have 2 customers then. Multiple customers, it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to make a lot of people. You're working through the concerns of a lot of different parties.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you want to actually serve all parties because it encourages adoption, right? If
Yep.
facility management part of it gets all the benefit, but the contractors really don't, they're not going to be your fans of your software. But if they get a benefit, then they definitely help you increase adoption. They're probably also taking you to other accounts that they have and say, wow, these guys are really speeding up transactions for us. So when you're thinking about value proposition for each of these customers, break down value proposition for me, the value proposition for the facility, the contractor, and for the viewers.
Yeah. So for the facility, right, they don't want to be burdened with any of these problems, right? They're trying to service customers, right? So as things are happening, if they put in tickets or if something's wrong, they just want it serviced so that they can go on. And that retailer doesn't want them dealing with facilities management work. You could say, well, why wouldn't they just ask the person at the facility to take the photos? They got 100, go to a store now, right? In the environment we're in, there's not a shortage of things to do, right? So they don't want them. They're hiring folks to do that. So the value add is, again, things that I need to get done are going to get done faster, right? For the viewer, right, on the other hand, they are, right, and we don't pretend to be, this isn't an Uber, right? This isn't, you're going to drive all day and this is going to be something that you do for a living. This is quick cash. You can build up your wallet. You can save for Christmas. You can, it'll buy your lunch that day while you were there, or, pays for your kids' travel ball, those type things. But we also looked at it and said, it's got to be very simple. So we not fight, but we push back a lot on what our clients are asking for us to get at a very basic minimum. They need to be in and out, letters of authorization in there. So it's very quick and easy for that viewer. And then we pay extremely fast, right? And from a cash flow standpoint, it's not great. But if you're showing up to take a few photos at a Dollar Tree, you want to be able to get that cash into your PayPal account, on and moving. So it gives you this opportunity to earn in a different way. And it's super simple, easy, convenient. And what was the third one?
The contractor.
Yeah, so the contractor, so here's a great, I'll give you another example, right? So I said lighting and night audits, right? So imagine I replace lighting on a retail bank, right? I do that during the day. Well, that bank will not pay me until I show them that sign is lit up. Well, I gotta go back at night. Well, the way the network is, they may have sent a contractor an hour and a half to repair that bank. So now they got to send that contractor back at night, time and a half, right? They're trying to get them to go. They're waiting days and they can't invoice their customer for it. So for us, for $25 instead of $250, the contractors say, oh, wait a second. I'll just use iVueit to verify this stuff. I get it done quicker. The customer's happy. And me as a contractor, I'm not using my skilled resources to do something fairly basic that's also costing me a lot of money.
You're getting me really excited, okay? All right, I'm ready to go all in on facilities management, but we'll be right back to talk about gig economy and Vuers, because that's an area of the workforce that I'm super interested in, and I want to get your insights. All right, folks, thank you for hanging out with us. Hopefully you're having as much fun as Mike and I are having. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Support for 614 Startups comes from Color Coded Labs. It's time for a better career in tech. Introducing Color Coded Labs, a 16-week boot camp that does more than just teach basic code. It's a program designed to help you actually get a career in tech. At Color Coded Labs, we've removed all the barriers to help you learn the skills you need to start a career you love in weeks, not years. All designed for people of color by people of color. Apply now at colorcodedlabs.com. All right, we're back with Mike Popadak of iVueit. All right, Mike, 2017, 2018, you couldn't get rid of this term gig economy. Now it's completely gone silent. You're working with Vuers who are part of the gig economy just by virtue of me listening to how you describe the work they do. What's your perspective on the gig economy right now, and maybe where the workforce in that area is going in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, the gig economy was a buzzword, right? Everything was the Uber of this and the Uber of that. But it's really, it's the same like listening to your customers, right? It's listening to the workforce. They want to work this way, right? And you're going to continue, the gig economy isn't just going to be, small transactions like what we're talking about and what we complete every day with iVueit. The gig economy is here to stay. Folks are going to want to work when they want to work, and it's going to allow you to access better and brighter talent for short stints, right? I mean, you do it all the time in technology when you're trying to go faster, right? I can hire somebody, they can work on multiple jobs, but because they're efficient, it works for all of us. They're able to do multiple things. I'm able to tap into that. So I really think, the gig economy got this, hey, it's very small, short task, but it's going to be the way that this next generation is going to want to work. They're going to want to pick and choose when they come in, when they leave. And we got to be ready to help support that. And I know there's all kinds of different legislature, especially out west, and looking at that. But as long as you define it clearly, leave them the opportunity to work the right way. It's something that we feel we feel very strongly about is helping drive, other things and more acceptance to companies like us into different ways of approaching tasks that, again, I think people were probably not as open to previously.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of really sparked the conversation about the gig economy in my head. And I think you make a very good point about the size of the transaction. I think, a drive, a 10-mile drive, maybe you make 15, $13 or whatever after they take out fees. What you may also be talking about is a world where more things get gigified, like a lawyer who wants to moonlight and review contracts after they get off their law job. And there's somebody who kind of creates a marketplace for lawyers to review contracts, and you could get it for a fraction of a price. Who's to say a lawyer doesn't want to choose that if they want to make a couple extra dollars and pay off some student loan debt? So I get what you're saying about the gig economy. So one of the things you had to tackle, like you said, this was a double-sided thing. You didn't want dots on the map with no viewers, and you didn't want viewers without dots on the map. So how did you go about solving the issue of viewers, getting the word out about this earning potential through iVueit?
Yeah, I mean, it's one big way is just staying engaged with that network, right? And you mentioned Emily, she does a great job really from marketing and staying engaged and keeping our viewers understanding what's going on. As we're growing, the more views are coming. We kind of gamify the system as well. So, as you have higher rankings, you get access to higher views, different earning potentials, things of that nature. So, and then we leverage the network themselves, right? So as word grew about iVueit now, and sometimes we'll have viewers, especially in certain territories, like, I'm not telling anybody about this because I want all the views. But when we need people, again, in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, we're able to tap into that network, and we've got a good understanding of what that network looks like, right? I mean, it's no secret that we can dive into some things on social media and digital and say, okay, this is the picture of a viewer, and we can go attack and advertise and grow that population. And we find a welcoming, and they're there with open arms saying, and I wish I'd known about this. Now we do have to hold them accountable, but from a quality control standpoint, we do a lot of this on the back end. So I mentioned, 19,000, views coming through for one customer in a couple of days. There's going to be some things that don't go right. And one of the big things is we QC it, we help escalate it, we push it back to viewers because sometimes they just made a mistake, and they didn't mean to make a mistake. So we give them the opportunity to correct it. We don't just rip it out and say, I'm sorry, we're not paying you for that. So we do a lot of job. We understand, for us, they're really the lifeblood of this company. So we try to love them up, and I think they feel a lot of pride. They know that they're helping an industry, and they're helping individuals by supplying this, and we're helping them. And again, during the pandemic, our numbers went through the roof on viewers, to the point where we didn't have enough work for them because folks were looking for other ways to make some additional money. And we're proud to say that's not necessarily the case anymore. So, but we retain those folks, we stay interacting with them, and we let them know when new opportunities are coming. And there's a lot of them coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. What demographics of your average viewer? What are you seeing? College, two job. What are you seeing? What is some of the data telling you about who the ideal viewer is?
We've got, we've got, stay-at-home moms, we've got generals in the military, but generally we skew a little bit higher towards female. We skew a little bit higher towards, that 35 to 45, to be honest. Because it's just from our heavy users, right? There are folks out there who can make quite a bit of money doing this. And then, those that are dropping in, on the app here and there, that's more of the younger demographic right now. But again, for us, it's, it's those folks are available as we need them. But I would say, a little bit. We tend to, look at our the smartphone usage. It's just a little bit over 55% Android versus iOS. So it's kind of all across the board. So.
So we're up against the break. I'm going to give you about a minute and a half. This is a big topic, though. Let's see if we can cover it in a minute and a half. Metadata, right? You're in there solving one problem, but then you're extracting all this other data, right? That you can inform new products, new features, new businesses, and solve new problems. Well, how are you guys thinking about all of the other data that comes along with running where people travel, choosing the right routes?
Yep.
Is this particular viewer super inefficient with going back and forth to the views? What are you seeing from a metadata perspective that's informing maybe future products or features?
So the big thing for us is, how do we own visual inspection services? And there's so many different ways we're capturing data. Asset management's a big one, right? So having, being able to look into your facilities and having a photo book and an understanding of all the information that was in that facility the last time we were there, the next time we're there, requests for proposals, so RFPs. Imagine now, if I need to put out a proposal for landscaping on all of my 20,000 locations. Well, what information does iVueit already have? What has changed from the time that we built the store to where it is now? How can we help fuel some of that with information in a data place in the market that says, look, we've got a lot more information here because we're on the ground level. It's not just an aerial. It's not just what's in Google Earth. We've got actual data from the last time we were there and able to store that and rip it out of the system and share.
That's great. Mike, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's a fascinating conversation all into itself, this idea of metadata and it informing decisions about features and future products. All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging in there with us. We're going to take our last break, and then we'll be back with Mike Popadak of iVueit to talk about what's next for him and his company. Support for 614 Startups comes from Hairdrop. Never visit the beauty supply store again. Order your beauty products from the Hairdrop app and have them delivered in an hour or less. Hairdrop is like DoorDash for beauty products. Get your hair care, grooming tools, hair extensions, and more when you need them to ensure you look and feel your best at all times. Available for download from both the Apple and Google Play stores. Get a beauty supply store in your pocket by visiting hairdrop.app and have your beauty delivered today. We're back with Mike Popadak of iVueit. Mike, what's next for you and your company?
Yeah, I mean, you heard me say the word a couple of times, visual inspection services, right? It starts just with a smartphone, but we're starting to fly drones. We're starting to look across a whole lot of other things, measurements, augmented reality, 360 video, all of those things are kind of on the docket for our product. And also, we're starting to go into different segments, right? So we call them verticals. It started in facilities and property management, but the residential space, working with municipalities, we're going to 33,000 parcels in a municipality to help them because they need more information than just a photo. They need someone to take down the information for insurance purposes, all of the things like that. So there's a couple of verticals we're being very strategic about as we grow. And then really it's then scaling the business. We as from the time we put this together to where we are now to where we're going to be, we've got a core group of great employees and they, many of them handpicked and they do a great job. And, now how do we get to that next level of hiring? We're currently looking for more developers and sales reps and operators. And, it's I don't want to say a scary, hurdle, but it's, you start to lose separation in that grasp on what was a small business becoming a very big business. But I think if we focus on, the things that make us good, help by, like helping with our employees who then make us great, finding those people, instilling the work ethic and the values that we have, and really listening to the customer. I mean, everything that we've done and that we've been successful with is listening to them, building the products that they want, and then doing our best to make sure that they're extremely happy with it. So I think, for us, it's there's a lot, and we're going to go very fast, and we got to do it with the right people. And Matt, my co-founder, and I think we've got that good base now, and really good product, and we're surrounding ourselves with better and better people.
So what is it going to take to dominate the visual inspection market? Are you going to need to raise a round of funding? I mean, is the business model clicking to this point where you're like, man, we're going to bootstrap, we're going to stay self-funded for a while here as we scale this thing up? What is it really going to take, right, for you guys to conquer this market?
Yeah, I mean, and bootstrap was how we built it. We did bring in some private equity, but I was one of we really didn't want to get on that treadmill of VC, and it's been profitable since day one. And I think, we're really focused on going faster, right? So taking some of the money that we've, have built up and now really throttling it. And I don't know if we're to the point of blitz scaling, but, we're from a development side, we're looking at ourselves as a tech company. It took us a little while to get there. I think it was like we were sales and operations, and now we're all in. We're a tech company. We're going to spend like a tech company. We're going to make the platform work and be able to monetize it, which is going to allow us to do other things. So yeah, we're just focus on that development team, blowing that out. So a lot of spend is going to go towards that because we've proven it. We've proven it in other markets. Now there's other tools that we want to add to it, and it's got to be like I go back to fast nickels, not slow dimes. The platform has to work, right? We can't just layer in a bunch of people. So I think we've gotten it to that place, and we're just going to continue to perfect it.
All right, Mike. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I think we got a lot more conversations in our future. Next time, it won't take so long to get you on. Emily won't have to beat down the door next time, because I really do want to continue this conversation about the gig economy about facilities management and really about, transforming yourself into this visual inspection company and what it's going to take, the implications for hardware, et cetera, right? I didn't hear you say anything about infrared, which I know you gotta measure on certain gigs whether or not it's up to code and things like that. So super fascinating. And I always end every episode with my one takeaway. My one takeaway today is, hey, it doesn't matter if it's sexy or not, as long as it solves a problem. All right. That was my show with Mike Popadak of iVueit. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode. Until next time, peace. Support for the 614 Startups podcast comes from Nationwide. Nationwide's mission is to protect people, businesses, and futures with extraordinary care. To help fulfill that mission, Nationwide is looking to invest its $350 million venture capital investment fund in insurtechs that will help them create new and exciting products and solutions to meet the needs of their customers. If you're interested in partnering with Nationwide's venture capital team, visit nationwideventures.com to learn more. Again, the website is nationwideventures.com. Nationwide is on your side.